like to touch on you being a high school coach. Now, you're currently coaching at 𝗺𝗲𝗱𝗶, and I would love to just get into the coaching world because we usually see you as a player, but now you're also a coach. And what are some of the key learnings that you've taken away from being on the touchline and not playing on the court?
Oh, being a coach is awesome. It's definitely sometimes is really the best part of my day where I just get to relax. Being around the kids is definitely something different. I have an under 16 team, so they're not really that young, but they're also like trying to find their feet, grade 10 and moving along in life. And just being a coach, I get to just have that experience with kids that are still at high school level and that just say, Coach, we just want to play. And that's something that you miss in, like, when you get professional or in, semi-professional in the sport. You miss just playing, the fun of just playing. And that's what the kids really bring to me. And for me, it's really just been all about making sure that they understand that, as much as it's about playing, it's also about developing as a person in the sport and making sure that you develop not only as a netball player, but also as just a holistic person. I would say being on the sideline is stressful. It is so stressful. Now I know what our coach goes through when we are playing, because you really try and teach the girls a lot of things, and then when they get on court, sometimes when things are not going our way, they start also just going back to old habits, things that we've been trying to out of their systems and all of that. And it's frustrating. It definitely teaches me how to be patient. It teaches me how to calm down and be able to convey in the right way, because these are kids and you have to look at how you talk to them, because they're very different as well. It's a team of 7 to 10 girls that are very different. How you talk to one is not going to be necessarily how you talk to the other. And so I've had to learn how to read from body language, read how a kid responds to me, and be able to give them something that will enable them to be able to go on court and do the job, and also just to go out on life and excel in everything they're doing, the academics, the personal life. So it's really taught me how to be patient, how to talk, how to read body language, and also how to just be calm, how to be at peace with things not going right and kind of talking them to going right. So yeah, those are the many things, few of the many things that I've learned from them.
Oh, absolutely amazing. I would now like to take you back to 2018, right? In Uganda, you were the youngest player in the team at the World Varsity Netball Championships. How did that feel? Because I'm certain it's great being in the national squad, but being the youngest player, it brings a little excitement, but also a lot of nerves. How did you handle that?
Oh, it was 2018. It sounds so far back. But being in that team, I remember that team so well. Yes, I was the youngest, but I was also just a part of the team. They really made me feel welcome. I was only in my second year in varsity. I just turned 18. So for me, it was big. I was like, I've never been on a flight that's longer than 2 hours, or an hour actually. And now I have to fly like 4.5 hours to Uganda. So I'm like, okay, this is new. And being on that team I learned so much. I grew as a player. I'd say from that experience, I grew so much as a player because I had to understand the virtue of being able to sit on the bench and say, I may not have experience for this game. I may not have what it takes for this game. And I should respect the coach enough to say, you didn't put me on, and I understand. Because if you put me on, I would have drowned and it would have made me hate you or dislike you. And those are that's just one of the lessons that I had to learn on that camp, and with the team. I was really protected, I'd say that. The seniors really took care of me, like people that have been playing. We were there with 𝗀𝗍𝗶𝗋 and Chinamdao, players that are really just old in the game. And they really just protected me and make sure, like, are you okay? Are you good? And they were there with me the whole way. And they facilitated an environment where I felt safe as a player, and that was great. Knowing that I can go on court and I'm in a sense allowed to make mistakes, um, that really helped. But also, it was a lot of pressure knowing that I need to do well now, because this will also set the foundation of where I'm going as a netball player. And so it was a lot of pressure internally from myself, that I put on myself. So that was something that I had to deal with. But in terms of the external factors, the team really created a great foundation for me and a great environment for me.
Oh, absolutely beautiful. And you once said these words, and I would like to remind you of these words. You once said, being able to set goals that challenge me and smash them is how I back myself in any situation. What do these words mean to you?
Ah, I still remember that. It's something that I still say to myself till this day. Um, I'm very goal oriented. From a young age, I've always just, I want to do this, and I want to be in the top 10 of athletics, and I'd write it down. And I loved just going back to my wall and scratching that out and saying, I did it. And that feeling I carried with me from a young age till now. I still do that. I'll write down, this is what I want to achieve in my academics this year, for each semester test, for my quizzes on average. This is what what I want to achieve. Netball wise, I want to make this team. I want to perform this way. And some of the things you don't achieve once you get older, but it's okay. And you can still go back and you take 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10 of those things, and it's still really great achievements. And so for me, as I said, I'm goal oriented. And because I'm able to set those goals, and when I do accomplish them, and I always do accomplish them, going back and saying, I did it, it motivates me to say, okay, what's next? So after ticking off and saying I did it, the next question is, all right, what's next? Over the years, I've had to learn also that it's good to celebrate the small wins. It's good to celebrate those small goals that you've achieved. And so now I've grown and matured into a place where I say, after I've, achieved a certain goal that I set out for myself, I say, all right, cool, we can go have, something nice, maybe a burger, some chips, and I'll go and have that. And I enjoy myself. And then I wake up the next day and say, what's next? Let's go. What's next on the agenda? Let's move. And that's how I motivate myself. And it's really how I back myself, because if I say something and I say I'm going to do it, I am going to do it. Sometimes it might take longer than it's supposed to, but at the end of the day, I will do it. And I always back myself in that. I always have, like, I write a lot. I have a lot of notebooks where I write down a lot of things, my thoughts, my processes, everything. And I write that down. And sometimes I go back and I look and I said, yo, I've been really through a tough time. So I can make it through this tough time. Because I've been able to maneuver myself throughout that. And obviously now I'm growing more, I'm maturing more. And so I have more ways to kind of get through tough times, or get through the good times, and focus on the next thing. Because after accomplishing a goal, sometimes you get complacent and you say, okay, I'm good for now. And you should never get complacent, especially in a sport that's so fast growing. Like, it's every day. You never know who's going to come up and just be on top of their game. You always have to be on top of your game as well.
Wow. Yo, Sikholiwe. That is so incredibly well said. Yo, I mean, you motivated me in that moment. Sure. Listen, I would like to remind you of one of your teammates. And I think at the University of the Free State, you guys spent a lot of time together. She now plays a netball abroad as well. Her name is 𝗀𝗶𝗹𝗶. And she once described you as the most disciplined, hardworking, and committed player. How do you feel about these words, and especially coming from her talking about you as a teammate?
Yo, that's a lot, actually. Thinking about it, I'm like, yo, Fabs is now, one of the best players in the country, and she's establishing herself as one of the best players in the world, actually, and she's doing a great job. And so for her to say something like that is really, for me, it's motivating, and it really makes me want to push harder. So it's great. It's some of those things. I'm not really a person who uses much of external motivation, but sometimes it is needed. And it's words like that when your teammate says you work so hard, and they want to always go with you. I remember 𝗀𝗹𝗶𝗶 used to be one of the players. Someone at our trainer at gym would say, "Guys, we don't have training today," and I'm like, "Fibs, we've got a weekend off, so I think we can actually go in. So let's maybe ask him if we can have an extra session." And she'd be like, "All right, cool, let's go." And we'd go in. It'd just be the two of us in the gym, and we'd work, and we'd come out and like, "All right, that was a good session. Now we can enjoy the weekend." And at other times, I would just go on a run, and she'd kind of maybe see me running, and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm just clearing my head." So it's those little moments. But she was always backing me all the time, and I think because she's also a very disciplined player, a disciplined person as well, she has her things set out. So also we think alike on some things, and I think that's why she'd say something like that. But for me, it's really motivating. It's also inspiring just to say, okay, we can keep going because we're doing something right.
You're locked onto the Sport NVT Insider, a podcast for unrelenting coverage of women in sport. I absolutely love diving deeper into the journeys of our athletes, coaches, and administrators to get to know them a little bit better than we do. Coming up this Wednesday is an interesting round of quick fire questions, a great opportunity for some good laughs and some great banter. Keep it locked onto Sport NVT, where we celebrate our women in sport.